Okay, hi, hello. How's it going? What's up? How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Steuben here, and today we're gonna look at a traditional Lugia deck. Um, the last time I covered Lugia before the set came out, I was playing with a Gengar, and I still think that's a solid option. But honestly, once I saw the power in my own hands of what this deck can do with other things, I had to get into it. I think with the Gengar list that we featured before, I'll link up in the iCard. That'll be a lot better for after rotation. And the way everyone's been playing with the Amazing Rares is honestly pretty gas. So without further ado, before we start, don't forget like, comment, and subscribe to support this channel. Let YouTube know that hey, watch these videos, recommend them, retweet the tweets if you see them. Any sort of extra boost to discovery helps me out a lot. And once we're able to, do a little bit more, we'll do more. And I'm excited for the future of the channel. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna start off with a 4-3 Lugia line. We've got 4 of the V, 3 of the V-Star. We'll start with the V. 220 HP with the attacks. Read the Wind and Arrow Dive. Read the Wind for 1 energy. Discard a card from your hand if you do draw 3 cards. Not often that I attack with Vs, but this actually feels really good if you lose the coin flip and you're going second. This actually feels pretty good to be able to like pitch something you don't want or need, like the Archeops that you actually do want and need in the discard, and then draw 3 cards. Feels pretty good. And then Arrow Dive for 4, 130. You may discard a Stadium. Nothing too crazy there. But then we have, of course, the V-Star. So again, a 4-3 line of these. 280 HP on this thing with the attack Tempest Dive for 4 colorless. Does 220 damage, and you may discard a Stadium in play. That's a key thing to remember. You may. You do not have to discard the Stadium. Sometimes it's good for you to keep those Stadiums in play to punish your opponent or slow them down. And then of course, the V-Star of the show here, the Summoning Star power lets you put 2 colorless Pokemon from your discard pile that don't have a rule box onto your bench. Then this thing is absolutely insane. And of course, the Pokemon we put from the discard pile onto the bench is, in fact, the Archeops here with the ability Primal Turbo. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So to note that, it has a 1 retreat cost and 150 HP. So this is immune basically to Cramorant and Sableye. So it kind of bullies them a little bit. It also stops Baby and Talion from taking a KO easily on this thing. And for 3 energy, you do 120. You put a powerful colorless energy on here, you're doing 140. And you can scale that as needed if you need to. But for the most part, your main attacker for those powerful colors definitely should be the Lugia V and V-Star. So yeah, 3 copies of Archeops. And then we get into the randomness. So we have a Radiant Charizard for our Radiant Pokemon in this deck, 160 HP with the ability Excited Heart. This Pokemon's attacks cost colorless less for each prize card your opponent has taken. And for 5 energy, 1 fire, and 4 colorless, it does 250 damage with Combustion Blast. This thing is insane. It has helped me realize how powerful the Archeops is, because even if they take a single KO, you can just accelerate energy onto it and then a turn attach, and you're already hitting for the 250. Even crazier is I did a little bit of playtesting against Vikavolt Regieleki, and this completely swung that matchup for me. You put V-Guard energy as one of your colorless on here, and they have to 2 or 3 tap this Charizard to get it off the board. And if they're putting belts down instead of capes, they really have to deal with this Charizard, and the Vikavolt just doesn't do it unless they overextend the energy, and then they break the item lock, and then you're able to do whatever you need to do anyways. So really good card to have, especially into that Vika mirror that people are not mirror, but the Vikavolt matchup that people are really going to attempt to try to use to counter this deck. Next in line, we have the amazing rare Raikou from Vivid Voltage, 110 HP. The attack, amazing shot for a grass, lightning, and a metal, 120, and then you snipe 120 to your opponent's bench. So you're playing against Lost Box, there's a Cram, Sableye, Comfey, you just start eating those up. And it all, of course, in the mirror match, you put a belt on this thing. It does 150 with the belt. 150 times 2 is 300 to KO a opposing Lugia. You have to keep in mind of other considerations as well, but this is definitely a super strong card here for this deck list. All right, next up we have the amazing rare Yveltal. This is from Champion's Path. 110 HP as well, with the attack Amazing Destruction. For a fire, a psychic, a dark, and 2 colorless, your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out. This is our way around Duraludon VMAX without having to have Path to the Peak in play. And also, if they just have some sort of big threat that you somehow can't get over with Lugia or Charizard or Raikou for whatever purpose, Yveltal is the silver bullet to take down that vampire, basically. This thing is pretty crazy. Once it's loaded up, they have to deal with it. If not, they're just going to eat whatever Pokemon it wants for the game. Continuing on, we've got the duo of Dunsparce and Manaphy. I feel like when you get to the mirror matches, if you're not playing both of these, you're not going to have a good time. So you want to be able to use Manaphy for the Wave Field to protect your bench. In this case, everything else. So that shuts off the Raikou damage. And of course, the Dunsparce, all colorless Pokemon in play, yours and your opponent's, to note, have no weakness. So to protect your Lugia and potentially Archeops from lightning type attackers such as Raikou, Vikavolt, Raikou V, so on and so forth. So these are definitely essential pieces in this list. And the last 2 Pokemon are also more support. We've got Lumineon V for the Luminous sign to grab a supporter, and Crobat V for Dark Asset to draw your hand up into 6 cards. Definitely kind of staples at this point in time to be able to play both of those. All right, continuing on, for our supporters, we are playing 3 copies of Research. Mixed arts here because I started to run out of these, so I'm mixing them up a little bit. Since we're playing 3, you can play 3 different ones. So discard your hand and draw 7. You do have to be careful with your researching. You can kind of do a little bit of recovery on some things, but it just doesn't feel too good to be able to like pitch the wrong cards. However, like, going first, you set up, and then turn 2, research, dumping, your Archeopses and so on and so forth, and then finding the right hand feels super strong. In addition to being able to discard and draw cards, we have Serena, which does that to an extent, as well as gusting up Pokemon V. Then we have 2 copies of Marnie. Marnie is actually pretty solid here to be able to reset your special energy, put them back to the bottom of the deck, and then you can accelerate them with Primal Turbo. Feels pretty strong and solid. And the last supporter, of course, is a Boss's Orders. Got to rock that Lysander full art. Probably the coolest of the 3 Boss's full arts that we will have access to once the Cyrus comes out. But definitely, get your Boss's Orders while you can. All right, so on to the item cards. Of course, we are rocking 4 Quick Ball. I'm going to try and fit them down here as much as I can. And we've got 4 Ultra Ball, pretty straightforward there. And we've got 4 Evolution Incense. So basically, the Ultra Ball and Incense are outs to your Archeops and your Lugia VSTAR. And of course, Quick Ball is for your Lugia Vs and your tech pieces for the most part. But, you want to be able to open up with 1 or 2 Lugia V at the start, and then you get the Archeops into the bin as fast as possible. Definitely something that you want to do with all of these item cards to search this out. Definitely just 4-4-4, consistent and flexible piecing for the rest of the deck. All right, next up, we've got 2 copies of Choice Belt. Damage modifier. So this will push you up to 250, plus, of course, your powerful colorless energies, which we'll get to those. 250 on Charizard, plus 30 is 280. Raikou plus this is 150. And if you go into a weakness matchup, 150 times 2 is 300. And that's enough to get most of those KOs. All right, next in line, the last item card is a Lost Vacuum. This is to remove Big Charm, Ponchos, and of course also Path to the Peak from play. So that way you can use your Primal Turbo and potentially Luminous Sign and Dark Asset. But when it comes to Path to the Peak, we are actually playing 1 copy of our own copy of Path to the Peak. It feels really good to be able to use Summoning Star after you've already probably used Crobat and Lumineon to get what you need, and then to just shut them off with Path, feeling really strong. especially in the mirror, if they don't have a way to deal with their the path after you've summoning starred before they have, you're gonna have a good time, and they're gonna have a bad time. What's the quote from South Park? If you pizza when you're supposed to French fry, you're gonna have a bad time. And second stadium, of course, is a collapsed stadium to get rid of things like the Crobat and Luminion off the bench or damaged attackers. Feeling pretty fine about that as well. And then now we move into the energy cards. Of course, as mentioned, we're playing 4 copies of powerful colorless energy. Your colorless Pokemon this is attached to provides 20 more damage. And this can technically be attached to anything because it does provide colorless energy when attached to any Pokemon in play, but only the colorless Pokemon get the damage buff, so keep that in mind. We then also have 4 copies of Aurora Energy. You have to discard a card from your hand to play this, which sometimes can be beneficial to be able to pitch an Archeops or whatever you don't want in specific matchups. And this is basically it's a rainbow energy without having to worry about a damage counter being placed. And of course, when you get them from the deck anyways, you don't have to discard to play this card. And then we've got 2 copies of Double Turbo to fulfill retreat costs, to make it easier to attack with the Lugia. And of course, the Double Turbo does reduce your damage output by 20, but if you have a powerful and a Double Turbo, they just counter each other out basically at that point in time. We then have 2 copies of Capture. Attach this and bench a Pokemon from your deck. Feels pretty good turn 1 to attach a Capture to an active Lugia. That way you can grab another Lugia and then read the wind and start popping off on your next turn. Then we've got 2 copies of V-Guard Energy. As long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy, so it technically gives everybody colorless energy support, and the Pokemon this is attached to takes 30 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon V. Not just V, V-Star, V-Max, V-Union. They're all covered from this. This is absolutely insane, and this on the Charizard really swings that Vikavolt matchup. In addition to the V-Guard energy, for the Charizard specifically, we do have a copy of Heat Fire energy. This will increase its HP by 20. Again, this, in combination with the V-Guard energy on the Charizard, really does change that Vikavolt matchup for you to a absolutely easily winnable match. Alright, then we have a copy of Speed Lightning energy for the Raikou. And this technically does provide lightning energy attached to whatever Pokemon that you want to have it attached to for whatever purpose. So you can, put these wherever else and provide energy cards, of course. But when you attach it to the Raikou, you get to draw 2 cards. Doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it is very, very good. And the last one in the list is a Hiding Dark energy. I'm playing all 3 here. This gives a Dark Pokemon free retreat. So in this case, Yveltal and Crobat can pivot for free. Yveltal has a retreat cost of 2. Crobat only has one of 1, but being able to keep this energy in here is pretty good. So keep that in mind. So yeah, this is the current list that I've been rocking with. It's gone through a few iterations so far. I'm going to a 1K this coming Saturday, so I'm probably going to play this since they're letting Silver Tempest be legal. So this is most likely the play. I might change 1 or 2 cards, still messing with the Hiding Dark and the Heat Fire. I was only playing the Hiding Dark for a little bit, but being able to get the Heat Fire in at the same time, especially with the Vikavolt counter, once I felt that way about it together with the V-Guard and the Heat Fire, felt really solid. But as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, if this video goes out before Thursday the 17th, I'm still giving away those 50 codes over on Twitter for the Silver Tempest set for PTCGO, so come on over there and follow the instructions. Super easy. All you got to do is prove that you're subbed to this and potentially the Twitch channel with a screenshot. Easy peasy. Get yourself in there for that, and I'll pick a winner on that day, probably later on in the afternoon. So if you get the chance to listen to this or watch this beforehand, hey, you still have a shot at those codes. But that'll do it for me, of course, as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.